Scott, if you want to.
Okay, let's call this meeting to order. Let's take roll. I believe that's the next appropriate
Yep,
step, and
yep.
then we'll move to minutes.
So Eric is absent. Cindy Moore,
Here.
Stephen Chandler. Absent.
Ryan Carpenter.
Ryan's absent.
Okay. Here, Scott's all here.
Not here. David. Cross
He's here.
here.
I am here, yes.
Jeff Kirsch. Okay, is it picking it up there? Okay, okay.
Yeah.
And we got Counselor McClure here. Okay, great.
Okay.
You have a quorum.
Good. Let's take a minute to peruse the minutes and then we'll move along here, take a look at them. And then I'll entertain any motions.
Okay.
Do we have a motion?
I'll motion to approve.
I'll second.
Hearing a motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Okay, there you go. All opposed? Not hearing any opposed, we approve the minutes for this meeting. Not seeing any, we'll move past the public comment. I don't see any public. Do we have any public online? Okay, no public online. So we have a EDC applicant here. Take a quick second to read this up and what are we looking to do with this EDC? Just
It would be, the commission would review, and if you feel this is someone that would be helpful and useful in the commission, then you would approve that.
sure.
That would go recommendation and go to the city council for them to consider and move that forward there. I invited Mr. Cassidy to come to the meeting. I mean, Cassidy shot to come to the meeting today. But
Well, this time of year is always tough. I get it.
I think it'd be nice to say hi to this person before we pass them along
Yeah.
to city council for approval. So
Would anybody be opposed if we just kind of bumped him off to the next meeting, you know, and put him in September? So we can get a chance to at least quadrille him a little bit and.
I do not object to that. I think it's nice to meet people when they're going to join a committee, and the dynamic of the committee is important.
I agree with that. So
well, staff will reach out to them and ask him to come and attend the next meeting.
please do.
John, can you please remind me how many slots we have?
We have
on
2
our-
vacancies right
We
now.
have 2
Yeah.
vacancies.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. We have 2 vacancies right now.
Thank you very much.
Whatever happened to the local realtor that wanted in her? What is her name? I can't remember it.
Paris.
Paris, yeah.
Paris, yeah. Have we reached out to her at all too?
I think she's busy being a realtor because it's some.
Oh, I understand that too. It's busy times, I hear.
Yeah, sure. No, I think it would be useful.
She'd be somebody I would think would be, since she's already expressed an interest in it, you know, we might want to
Yeah.
We touch base
Mhm.
with her if that's humanly possible to do. Okay, that being done, planning industrial campus career day discussion. We were kind of informally having that discussion.
Well, yeah, I think, last time, we talked about, you guys see the pamphlet that we did for the August 5th for the industrial tour and National Night Out and Cindy and Mike can talk about that. I think it was very successful, but at the last meeting here, we picked the date as the commission picked September 25th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. working with the, Estacada School District, maybe Colton and the other districts, just to bring awareness around having the industrial campus day there. I know Commissioner Jeff had talked about, really too, thinking about what are some of the companies that we might be able to partner that could also be out there that might not be in the campus to be able to just bring more awareness around that. So today, is to really talk about that, like, how do we want to organize that as the commission here? And basically, do we, I did, should we have some food, hot dogs, soda pop, and, what are, what staff will start doing now is reaching out to the companies, and we got to think about like who those companies are that we could, maybe we pick a handful, 5 to 10 that the students, and we got to work with Ryan and his team to be able to bust them down there and back and forth from that standpoint. So that's the next big event there. So.
So the students are confirmed to come. This is
Well,
on
we
there.
confirmed with Ryan last time that, the September 25th date. So then we confirmed with him at the meeting last time, between 11 and 1. So we want to capture them when they're in school and bring them down there. So, I think, what are the businesses, we know Eric would love to have people come down and learn. I'm sure, Locke would too, the Glazers, what other ones in the park, to really think about an opportunity, what it would be to work for one of these companies. I think Jeff could talk about some of the companies you thought would be helpful too, that would like, for example, PGE, would love to probably partner with us on there and probably even help with some of the sponsorship. We talked, just about even with the county, Cindy, like how we could maybe just push this out to advertising it on the transit, or even like we also talk like, could we push it out like Instagram or Facebook and be more, just to the students to letting them know and the parents ahead of time too. So I think, it's now kind of up to the commission to kind of talk about how you would envision kind of seeing that. So then staff can take that and work to help kind of implement that too. And if some of you want to be, like the subcommittee or the lead on that, that's great too, so like if someone wants to be like, hey, I'm happy to reach out and identify, some partner, like other companies. So like from that standpoint too. So.
Sure.
I know Clackamas Workforce, partnership has always been, a great partner here. And they would be open to probably, even helping sponsor some of it. I'm not sure, but like they've always expressed an interest to help on this, on the career day opportunities there. So.
So I've spoken with a couple of folks about this. PGE for sure would be interested. There's a fellow named Brian Fuentes. He's the Economic Prosperity Program Manager in Community Engagement. And this is really what he does. And Brian says PGE has all kinds of fantastic, well-paid apprenticeship opportunities right now for young people. So he would happily be there. And Port Blakely is a local privately held timber company in the area, and they have an outreach person. I spoke with her about this. They would be game to set up a table and talk to young people about careers in the timber industry. I think what we'd have to figure out fairly quickly is where do we locate these people? And,
How many stops do you guys think, like, do you think 5 businesses, 10 businesses, if you're moving them around on the school bus? I mean, we just did the tour and we had We had Lock Construction, the Glazers Union, and Solder Timber, and Northwest Technology, so 4. And that took, 2 hours to move folks around. So like, but if we did say, let's say we had 6 businesses and then they could have like, I'm just saying at Lock, we could probably have 2 other businesses there, if they were open to that, or and then like, I think Eric would be open to, having another business in their parking lot or right in those areas, right? So I don't know, maybe we get a total of, we should make a goal of like having 6 companies that will host, and make a goal, maybe getting another 6 companies that we could have at those sites. Cause I think Reliance would be,
Yeah.
their, with their broadband would be an important one to think about too, having their,
Oh, yeah. Their activity is going to be increased.
and then that way you're kind of thinking like, okay, 20 minutes at each one there, and maybe we keep a school bus that goes around in the park there, so they can drop somebody off at each site and then they can maybe walk in the park area. Pretty
John,
easy. Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
just giving you a heads up, I would reach out to Bo as well over at Brousseau's Coachworks. They do some really interesting stuff that'll interest a lot of the kids over there.
Yeah, and automotive repair.
A lot of fabricating over there too.
Is the idea, John, to keep the students on the bus and keep them together as they roll through?
I think we could go to Ryan and propose how we want to do it, right? So I think it could be like, do you bring a bus down and maybe you dedicate 2 buses for the day, and you just help one bus is moving peaks around, maybe you get them both down there.
Yeah.
It's easy enough to walk inside there too, so that's kind of like, we could just have them walking from one spot to the next, and we could drop off like 20 at each business, or something like that,
Yeah.
I bet we get at least 100+ kids probably want to come down.
I kind of like that idea of having some structure to each of the groups and then pick up and drop off, because I'm just thinking, once you let folks, anyone, students, adults, anybody, off a bus and let them wander, I think we'll be
Lose 'em.
challenged to keep everything moving and on time. And then also from a messaging perspective, each of the businesses would have a set kind of slot of time. And so you don't end up with one having, half hour's worth of time and a ton of people, and another that may have less.
I like that.
it's
So
an
maybe we-
equal distribution and everybody. gets
20
it.
minutes at each one, and then we just
Couple
have 6 businesses and
Yeah,
maybe 6 more that want to participate, right?
Sure.
And then they could start, so like at the 12 o'clock business, we're doing hot dogs or something at one of those, right? And they come and get a hot dog and a soda and stuff like that, and circle around like through that, from that standpoint. And then the businesses are able to have like, if they come, then if it's 20 minutes at each spot, then maybe it's 10 for each business or something, or they could break up and kind of flow that way.
That'll sound good to me. I mean, the logistics of it is interesting to me. If you're splitting up 100 kids, they're like cats, so you're constantly trying to herd cats. And that would be Ryan Carpenter's job right there. He's well adapted to that sort of thing, so.
Would this be for all the years in the high school, or for juniors and seniors? What are we thinking? Do we have a sense of that?
I don't think we have a sense. I think it would, I don't know if the school's ever done this, probably not, right? So I think maybe we could open it up to seniors first, see how many they get, and then, set a goal like, then maybe open it to juniors, right? So from that standpoint, so I think if you get juniors and seniors, especially juniors, I think would be best. But maybe we just start this year and see like, okay, we got 50 seniors and 50 juniors, or maybe there's 60 juniors and 40 seniors, maybe more seniors, right? Like,
Sure.
But then they come back and they start talking, oh, career day was fun. I got to learn about this and that, so.
So how many schools are we talking about doing this? Not only Estacada, but.
Well, we talked about like, it might be interesting to let Colton know too, right? So if
Sure.
they want to bring students over too, and we could even let Malala know too, and Sandy, right? So it's to bring awareness out more.
I
So
could see you pretty well overwhelming 100 people pretty easy just between us and Sandy by itself. I don't know how many.
but maybe,
seniors
for the
there are.
first one, maybe we start with like Estacada and Colton, and then you know, like you said, if we don't want to overrun with, 30, 40, 300-400 kids, but I mean, it's just, I don't know how many. I mean, I could talk to Ryan and see if they've ever done this before.
Sure.
Could I suggest that we have a couple of champions from the student population, because like thinking of someone of our ages doing social media, it's never going to quite be as eloquent as
Come on.
So I think also involve Alessandra Bresco, because she's got a good finger on the pulse of who might be good to involve from the student side on this, and really make it not a top-down thing, but a grassroots thing. And so the best way to do that is to engage with someone in the student population that can help us promote this.
A great idea, because there's probably, I don't know if they have like VOTEC or ag or forestry, would be, in their school clubs, so there
Yeah.
could be some of those clubs there that could be helpful.
Well, any
Yeah.
CT,
They got the automotive program, so the CTE
yeah,
programs,
all the CTE programs, yeah.
we could push that out the first week of school and have them RSVP, then when is school? David, your daughter still in school here?
Yes, it's next Monday they start, and next Tuesday the seniors start. So any day after next Tuesday.
Okay.
Might also want to think about having a sign up or RSVP first come, first serve, because if it is led by students, it will take off, I would think, even more so than
Yeah.
the adults sending out an invitation. And I know, at least when I was in school, I signed up for all the field trips. So imagine it's going to be popular to be
Yeah.
out for a couple of hours.
Sure.
Yeah, from a marketing perspective, if you make it time limited and you say, the first 50 people who respond, you'll get a good response.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scarcity.
Then you can gauge what schools you want to go after that, just to see.
Mhm.
So you can, if you're thinking 100's the number you want to hit, you can just kind of expand yourself out till you hit that number. And then hope you get, 75% of it to show up.
Well, and I think for us, I think setting realistic expectations is important too. This is a pilot. This is our first one. So as we're going through this planning process, knowing that we could maybe tweak it next year, but keeping it high and tight and small and really focused, I think would serve everybody.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. I think so, like if, Jeff, if you wanted to come up with, I'll reach out to the industrial park and like find, businesses that find us 5 to 6 businesses that'll host us. And then if we could find like 5 or 6 businesses that you think would be a good fit, like you just said there, that would be great.
I'm
Uh,
happy to reach out to Port Blakely and
Okay.
PGE for
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
I'm thinking that it would make sense to me to have like industries together with
Yeah.
like industries. So Port Blakely at Souter
Yeah.
would be sensible. PGE at Eric's
Mm-hmm.
place makes sense.
Mhm.
I have a question for Jeff as well. I mean, we want to make this focus, but there'll be some element of students that want something a little bit more aspirational and maybe creative. I wonder, although you're not able to offer employment to all these people, whether you could offer something that shows someone the pathway of how to get into a creative profession like the one you have.
That's a fun question, David.
And you could back it with some help from Reliance Connect, because of course they have like, a gigabit internet on the edge of the Mount Hood National Forest. Like there's definitely an element of students that are very interested in the creator economy.
I will think about that.
Thank you.
I don't know if I'm feeling in a place where I would recommend young people jump into the career of filmmaker right now, because
Yeah.
things have changed so much.
Sure.
You can give the cautionary tale then. Watch out for AI.
I can chat with the young people over the grill about this possibility. I
Yeah.
volunteered with John to be at the grill because somebody's got to make the hot dogs.
That makes good sense.
I'm always I'm always big on those types of industries that let them stretch their intellectual skills a little bit, you
Mhm.
know, I'm always big on those sort of things and just show them what the possibilities are. Because a lot of
Mhm.
times they just get drilled with reading, writing and arithmetic and, you know, how to turn a wrench on a car, but, you know, actually creating the car or, you know,
Yeah.
doing what Eric
Well,
does.
like,
and-
my friend brought up, like Bo's got it really with, their restoration automotive, they do some pretty
Yeah.
interesting things down there, so.
You know,
Denver,
just,
so.
you know, what all that entails, you know, kind of education you need to be pointing yourself at, you know, and
Mhm.
because, you know, I have a degree in computer science, but I don't think I've used it for about 15 minutes, you know, in my whole career life, you know, other than the ability to know how to do it, but I just didn't do it, you know. Did other
Hmm.
things that were around it, but
Mhm.
didn't do it.
Well, the Port Blakely brings, you know, as far as like the forestry component, like there's a lot of interesting jobs that they, areas you can be working in there just to be, you know, in the whole way.
Sure.
Thinking about like forest management and, you know, drones and surveillance and different things. I mean, there's a lot of interesting areas where it's
Yeah.
going to from that standpoint, so.
I don't know
And-
how, you know, we're gonna have to try to come up with some kind of a comprehensive local curriculum that kind of just, you know, seeds the possibilities, I guess, you know, you know, let's seed a few oak trees and see what grows, you know. And if you get them inspired about something, you never know what goes on about that. I don't know how comprehensive we can be in this short of a run, but
But I think this is just the tease, at least that's how I see it.
Yeah,
in the
yeah, we
beginning.
start,
Like
yeah.
our work plan this year was about exposure to the
Yeah.
employment opportunities
yeah.
in our town and connecting downtown with the industrial park. And we're pulling off two pretty cool things, right? We did
Sure.
this tour and then we're doing the workforce piece. And
And then we want to do one
that's
more
good.
kind of like a downtown business appreciation.
Yeah.
What kind of resources can we help the small business community and kind of, you know, we're thinking, you know, probably that be after the holiday kind of time, you know, just to, you know, whether it's helping them understand, you know, opportunities for grants around websites, you know, to
Sure.
help them out, you know, marketing. It was just, we've been thinking about, you know, that is so those three are really, I think we, you know, the career day will be a successful win and awareness of helping students. I love the idea of getting in with the students, helping them promote it, right? And for the first pilot, maybe we just keep it to Estacada School District and see what kind of turnout we get.
Sure.
And then think about like building on that, right? And then I think too, like, if it's a win for the companies, you know, coming there and they're like, oh, this got us awareness, like, then more companies will be like, be nice if we could get it to where like it's a half a day event and
Yeah.
you're getting, you know, all the school district in the area where these kids are coming and learning more about this.
Yeah, I'm always big on the cast the wider net thing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm still working on SEO marketing and trying to understand all the nuances of that one, you know, and then because that's what I was talking to a gentleman with the Port of Kalama about how they did their marketing. You know, and I kind of keep going back to that model, but it's the only model I see like that around here. I don't see anybody else doing that. And I'm asking myself, why? What are you doing? How are you doing it? And why isn't anybody else doing it? You
Mhm.
know, why wouldn't you do that? You know, and I'm going, I don't know. I guess that would be more David's thing, you know, he probably could understand, and understands SEO better than I do, but you know. And how that whole thing works. There's a lot of possibilities here, you know. I like the whole concept personally. You know, and it's just another piece of the puzzle as we just plug them in. It's just going to be a slow slog forward as we go, but I'm all in favor of it. And anything I can do, September, I'm usually open.
Okay.
I'm not going anywhere. So
All
Is
right, well, I
Councilor
think-
McElroy still on?
I'll jump in and do
He-
my
he
part.
Jumped off, I think, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Was
But
gonna
what
say,
I'll
that
do
would
is
be a good-
I'll reach out and then, maybe what we can do is we could have like each business area, we could have like one EDC member with
Mhm.
the businesses there, kind of,
Sure.
you know, that would be a great opportunity, you know.
Yeah, and you know,
Kind of facilitating that area with them, you know, helping with the
Mm.
students coming in and out and you
I
know,
love that.
you know, And then we could all report back in October, like how it was, how was it at, at Sutter Timber with Port Blakely? And
Yeah.
man, we had kids that are wanting to learn about this and that, and,
Sure.
or we didn't have anyone show up,
Yeah.
what are we gonna
You
do?
know, it's always a possibility, but let's just assume a success until we're not there,
Maybe too, like, yeah, we'll just pre-plan and kind of bring the buses around, like, I'll work that out with Brian. and see
Two
what-
spots and then they're just kind of.
Yeah, because we kind of moved each one around, so maybe we just move around that way and then,
2 hours will go by so.
I know, it goes by so quick and it's just like hurting and I'm keeping them on and off there, so.
One thought I'm having right now is what kind of budget do we have for a thing like this, Do are we planning?
We have some of the money and that we set aside,
Sure.
to do so I think, we can, get the hot dogs or, we might even be able to work with Locke and have them. They did a fantastic job with they did the ribs. They did some
Oh.
ribs and stuff and they were just amazing.
Yeah,
we need so-
somebody in the barbecue.
We probably could have them. We'll just buy the food.
Well,
We
that's
could
good too,
So I mean, I
local
think
kids will say,
budget wise, we,
"Man, this guy's ribs are really good. Let's go."
we could probably with Instagram or talk to, I know Hannah, the city has Hannah doing their social media. So I mean, maybe we give the school a little bit of money to help push out on Facebook or social media in their area there, doesn't take much to kind of be some printing costs, I don't see it being
Yeah.
a large amount of, maybe the food's the biggest component we buy, some
That's good.
food and waters and soda pop for the kids,
I like the barbecue idea, and maybe Michael would say, I can't think of a better way to promote
Your business, yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe before we commit to hot dogs, John, would
I'll
you be
talk to
willing
him.
to? talk
They,
to Michael?
yeah, we could just buy the meat and reimburse it because the barbecue is.
Yeah.
And maybe that'd be the last stop there. Could be because they have a classroom setting in their building there and it's really open. So like, if you have, I don't know. Plus you kind of got the overflow of the parking lot out there. I mean, if you had 100 kids or something that are coming in, or maybe, I'm taking, maybe it's 2 buses and we're doing, I don't know, I'm just playing around, but.
Yeah.
We did Lock first. And they had the barbecue there. But they got a classroom setting and they have plenty of space to make
Sure.
it. Yeah.
Anything we could do to reduce the bus rides,
Yeah.
if we can eliminate a stop or two,
Yeah.
that would be a good thing.
I like where you're going with that, because even and to your point, to kick it off at one place, like if everybody went there first,
Yeah.
got a little something to eat, hey, we're so glad you all are here, here's what your next 2 hours is gonna look like. They eat a little something,
Captive audience.
captive audience, Locke does their presentation as they
Yeah.
would as part
Yeah.
of the tour.
Yeah.
And then we just kick off and go, whether it's walking or on the bus.
Maybe it's
2 hours for hour and a half.
yeah, I hear what you're saying. Maybe it's,
That way there's an official kind of kickoff to the,
yeah, I like that. If we kick it off, they have, and then do we go just to, 3 businesses,
4 total, yeah.
maybe 4, maybe we just do
Locke and then.
Lock, Solder, the Glazers and like Eric's again.
Sure.
Just try that.
And folks can walk from the Glazers.
We could
Eric's,
walk from the
Locke.
Glazers to there.
So you only need.
We
really-
could actually start at Locks. Have them feed them, move and walk down to Solder. It's a little bit of a walk, but it's not that long. Air them out a little bit, then come back to the Glazers. Or we could split them in 3s and then go 3 different ways and then move them there too.
I think depending on the numbers, we should split them so that.
Yeah.
They actually have a moment.
I
to
like
talk
that
to
idea. We
people.
bring them all to Lock to the kickoff.
Yes.
Sit them in there, they hear what we're gonna do. You get a number, 1, 2, 3, 4 or something, maybe 1, 2, 3.
Yep.
And depending on how many we have, and if you're 1s, you're going down at Northwest, 2 to here and 3 to 3.
I love it.
And then we have someone at each one,
Thinking of
and then we're like,
Las Vegas, where they have one person with a flag that has number 1 on it, okay, if you're number 1, follow the guy with the number 1 sign.
Yeah.
You go.
and then however we could put,
Yeah.
if we got 2 or 3 other businesses, they can just be down there and be awareness. It's like, hey, at Solder, you're gonna learn about these businesses. We tell them that at the beginning. And then when you go to 2, you're gonna learn about these businesses. And when you go to 3, you're gonna learn about these businesses.
Sure.
And then bus picks them back up at 3. Bus does the trip, the bus just picks them all up at the end.
And then a backup plan in case we have negative weather events, so.
So we will be able to tell our business partners that they'll have an interior space to set up there.
I think so.
I mean, I
Yeah,
think that's
I'll
important.
reach out to the businesses this week, to those 4.
Okay.
And ask them to confirm, and then I'll let everyone know, and then, and then I'll read, and then I'll type up something for Ryan and say, Ryan, here's what we're, let's get it out early the first week of school. So we know RSVP by, the second week, the end of the first week of September, give them 2 weeks. Cause then we'll have a head count, how many. And then we can start coordinate if we got 1 bus, 2 buses, and
Sure.
love it.
I think it's great. I
Yeah.
think this could be really inspiring to these kids. And I'm betting that nearly 100% of them have no idea
Oh,
of what awaits them in the park.
Yeah,
I would agree.
gonna agree more.
I would agree.
I
Yeah,
have no idea.
yeah,
Yeah, that's.
Logistics wise, though, I think we would maybe want to just make sure that we're okay walking that many kids around an industrial park. There's still gonna be trucks coming in and out and around. And I
Yeah.
know the sidewalks are really nice, but we just might want to think that through on.
we'll
that.
have, each of us
They're
members
not-
have to wear
they're
orange
older,
jacket with
so-
the,
They realize the gravity, and then that's the speech you have while everybody's together and you're organizing groups.
Sure, however we want to address it, just that it gets addressed,
It'll be
right?
addressed, yes.
So we don't have rogue.
well, we could even have the sheriff's department come down and be like, hey, I mean, they're always hiring, looking like, but they might even just volunteer the county sheriff. I mean, if we're worried about escorting them around or something.
Oh, I guess I was just worried about big trucks and
Yeah.
people in general. It's
No, I
not just
know.
the kids,
Yeah.
but just in an industrial
If we
setting.
put a group of each of us with them,
Yeah.
I think that'll be good.
Find them to be that busy of a
I
site.
gotta believe their teachers
real
are
big,
coming.
big
I think we
concern.
can,
It is a concern, but it's not huge.
Yeah, I get it. I'm just throwing it out there.
safety,
Yeah.
yeah.
And especially if it is gonna be, if we do have inclement weather or something and
Yeah.
we are
Good
dealing with
point.
students.
Good point,
So
safety.
yeah, they're full-size students, but
Well, the sheriff's department
Thank you.
is a career choice, so you can certainly have them come
Yeah.
and talk about what they have to say, because they're building for the future too, so. We're going to need those people at some point.
Awesome, okay.
David, what do you think?
I think if I did not have my mute button on, it would probably be more effective. I think it's really good. The other thing I would add is something like a QR code where children can scan it and submit their feedback, things they thought were good about what we were doing, things they would like to see more of, and things they would like to see less of, so that this becomes an iterative process that evolves and gets even better the more teams we put through this process, or
it.
experience, if you want to call it, rather than a process.
I love that, because that feedback, they don't filter. They'll tell you.
Yeah,
Like this,
and
we don't like this.
Yeah.
I love that.
yeah, I'm also very happy to put together a draft press release for this, because we can get a lot of good media angles with this, because there's a local angle, there's a professional angle, and anything that helps children in a rural city go and further their career and kind of focus where they want to go, and also that we have a local footprint of businesses that people can go into. I think this is going to be some really good PR angles.
That'd be great. That's a great idea.
That's really good on the cast of wire net angle, because people, ooh, these guys are serious about this.
Yeah,
See
and
what-
then back to
see what
you.
it drags in.
Yeah, back to your point about, how do I get my head around SEO, and what Klamath Port did is, you need good story and good content behind that to create content for SEO purposes. And so getting the story behind what we're doing here is going to be really important in that area.
Yeah, I know. I looked at the biggest expense of a good SEO marketing program was a writer, a really
Yeah.
good writer. And I went, okay.
There's also AI out there, if you learn to prompt it, you can get some pretty good writing that then just needs editing, I have to say.
Sure.
That's a great idea.
Interesting. Okay, do we have a pretty decent outline about where we're
Yep.
gonna attack this at?
Yep.
Excellent. Any more comments in relation to this? Any other thoughts, ideas, anything else anybody else to throw down? And
So we need to maybe set ourselves a time to circle back and check in and make sure we're all on track here and understand, is it barbecue, is it hot dogs,
Yeah, that'll come
that
up
sort
with.
of thing.
Yeah,
so
how
we're gonna
about,
want that.
how does like, let me talk to Ryan and the businesses and like by the next week, about Wednesday next week, how's that work?
Good.
Perfect.
Sounds good. Maybe one question for Ryan would be around, I don't know what the school system looks like now for permission slips or what the requirements would be. If we have to get those out in advance.
I'm sure he does, but
I'll ask him.
well, if you deal with the older students, they're pretty mobile anyway. So, you know, if it's taking time away from school though, that's,
Yeah, I have no idea what
Yeah,
that looks
I
like.
don't, he was all fine when we talked about 11 to 1, so like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know if there's something they have to sign or it's just, you know,
Exactly. It may be.
I don't know how it is
I don't know,
nowadays.
but nowadays,
Right.
people do what they want.
That's what I
It's
said.
probably,
It's his
probably like
element.
an app, something to just do.
Somebody brings
like,
home, oh, we need to sign this
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah, he's pretty good with business models, so.
Awesome, okay.
All right, moving to the portion of this thing, moving pretty quick. Commissioner comments on anything else we've got going on? Any thoughts, ideas? What are we pushing forward after we get through this? What are we looking forward to other than getting this event off? We got that coming up.
Well, it's up to the commission. I did, Jeff and I did talk and I tried to get, Mount Hood tourism out here and some of the tourism or even Travel Oregon.
Yeah,
We'd like, you know, I think it's one of the things we've talked about is, you know, tourism is a component, it's an interesting component. How can the EDC tap in and what is happening in this area around tourism, right? So that's one of the things I think, you know, if there's other ideas and thoughts you want to see on future agendas, that's you as
Yeah.
the commission should talk about and then we can work to try and arrange and get those folks here. So
sure.
gonna make an effort in September to try and get someone from Mount Hood Tourism or Travel Oregon out here so we can be learning what's available, what opportunities, what grants there is, you know,
Yeah.
to be thinking about that from that standpoint there. So
Yeah, I'm keenly aware of that we need the hotel component out here at some point to make, I think Jeff and I were having a conversation at his home one day about he wanted some type of a lodge out here, you know. And I was going, well, okay, you know, I don't know what that looks like or, you know, some kind of a lodge type hotel, you know, a destination point, I guess was the bigger part of it. And it's a worthy idea. It is a worthy idea, you know, and how to integrate all that to try to make Estacade a summer destination point or even a sportsman destination point. You know, we've got so much beautiful landscape around here. It's a shame we don't afford. What am I trying to say here? Trying to make avail of whatever we can do with it, you know, to try to help cash flow into the community. I know we've talked about hotels and stuff like that. Have we gone anywhere with that, or is it just sitting out there waiting for us to?
no, the city will do a hotel study
Yeah.
this year. That'll come back for the council.
Sure.
But I think the first thing is just really understanding what the tourism component is, what the potential capture is, you know, for a hotel component, right? So every city wants to have a hotel, but you know, reality is what can you afford and what can you sustain, right? So I think it's understanding too, like, you know, probably gonna be closer to like a boutique, smaller hotel if you look at what's happened in like cities that have grown from like 5 to 10, 10 to 15, 15 to 20, right?
Yeah.
You're not gonna get a Hilton or a Marriott or,
Oh, yeah.
you know, DoubleTree or anyone coming in to, you know, there's just not the demand here yet, right? So, but it's like, when will you, when could there be demand? So what does that look like in those intermediate steps. So.
And the land use possibilities of that, because, you know, even now, the available land for such a thing like that is not available. Yeah, yeah,
Well, I think that's, you know, and that's something interesting to think about, like the mill site could be an opportunity, you know, the entranceway coming into the town can be an opportunity,
Opportunity,
you know,
yeah.
so those are things, that are absolutely,
I know.
uh,
Growing pains is a real thing, you know, and the hotel is one thing, you know, needing some larger retail marketing in the city is another thing, you know, and priority wise, I think, you know, when I look at what Estacada is doing now and the way money is flowing towards development of residential properties out here, you know, again, the scale's way off. You know, we're not enough businesses and way too much residential, and we need to level the scale out a little bit here, you know, try to figure out what we can do with that. That's why I'm always big on the industrial partnerships and stuff like that, you know, they can get easily going quickly.
I thought I heard when our planner was here that maybe there's a need to do some rezoning and make some more retail available. And what I wonder is, what is actionable on our part in the short term? What's the low hanging fruit here? So would it be valuable to have the planner come back, or possibly have somebody from the planning commission come in and talk to us about what is the actual availability currently of retail sites, and what would it take to rezone to make more available if that's something that we desire and need? Because I can't say right now, I have no idea how many lots would currently be available for a retail project.
Well, there's quite a bit of land along the highway dedicated to just that. But, you know, it's so limited in space, you know, it's geographic, it's got geographic problems. And it's just limited in the space and the size of the things you can do, you know. We're not looking to put a mini mall down 211, 224. That just doesn't fit what we're doing here, you know.
Yeah, what's downtown and in the,
Yeah.
you know, general center?
This urban growth boundary, you know, the urban growth boundary restricts you in a lot of things you can do. In urban growth boundary, you can grow as crazy as you want to, you know, within the boundary, but outside that boundary becomes an issue, you know.
Sure.
And unless we just start eating up more territory, you know, which we'll probably have to do at some point. But in this iteration of the growth boundary, there's opportunities there if you want to take them. You know, and this is what the city council does. They decide what they want to see grow and whatnot. Like the mill property here, you know, that's a good depiction, and a lot of good things there. I think we need a medical center in town, a dedicated medical space, and a few other things that are a part of that. But it's just difficult when you think about the growth that's happening right now. You know, you see right now there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and just starting on 7 properties being developed for residential properties. And I know it's going to be 5 to 7 years before that's actually built out. But still, you know, that just means every year you're bringing 1,000 people into this for the next 7 years. Something like that.
Looks like David has a question.
Go.
It was more a comment. I was not able to be at the last meeting, and I listened to the answer to my question that I'd asked Ryan to read out, and it was quite surprising, to be polite about it. But I think it's very unusual that a city cannot put a moratorium on expansion unless they're prepared, like Sandy did, to face a fine from the state of Oregon, because what that ends up with the city having to face is that they don't have an easy choice to say no to a developer who checks all the boxes, and they're left dealing with the problem of the local economy and maybe being under-resourced in terms of things like sewage and other stuff. You know, Sandy chose to take the opposite way of doing that, where they said, no, we're not going to expand. And so they paid big fines. But as that's not the Estacada City choice, I think there needs to be a tighter cooperation between the city planning and, for example, the Economic Development Committee, because we need to know what's coming down the pike. If, as a city, we're expected to economically develop the city, we need to know what we're meant to be economically developing. Like if the city's giving planning permission to companies that otherwise check the boxes, and we're getting such a huge influx of people in the city, and it's straining our resources and stuff, it places a very reactive rather than proactive remit to both the city but also to the Economic Development Committee. And so I'd like to propose that we take something to the city and say, hey guys, we need to make the best of this one, otherwise we're always going to be acting in a reactive mode.
Well, David, I think that, and thank you for mentioning that again. I think that landed really well. Your comment in the last meeting is reflected in the minutes, and that's to have a joint meeting between the Planning Commission and our Economic Development Commission. And that conversation could maybe help answer, just so we could learn a little bit about both those worlds, right?
Sure.
What
Yeah.
the Planning Commission is seeing, where their charge is, what we're seeing, and what our charge is.
Yeah.
And so that is in the minutes that we just approved. So I know that that's forthcoming, and maybe that's something we could look at and getting it on the docket sooner rather than later. And the other thing we talked about too is a revisit of our goals to make sure we are tracking well for our end of year report to city council.
Okay.
So that would check off yet another box, right? If here's what your EDC was able to accomplish this year. So there's 2 action items for the next couple months, because, and then of course we have our event in September. So just thinking at how we close the end of the year, and those are 3 pretty big action items that I think would bode everybody well.
Yeah, I think on,
Yeah, thank you.
I could talk to Alan and, maybe we target October, November for the work session
Sure.
to
Lovely.
find a date, because it's
I
a
like
little
that.
coordinating, you guys meet once a month for?
Yeah,
planning
once a
commission?
month, yeah.
What
We're
day do you
meeting
guys-
tomorrow, so.
What time do you normally meet at? In the evenings?
Yeah, we're gonna be on Wednesday. We meet, well, right about now, 11 to 12:30.
Oh,
That's
okay.
generally our time, so it wouldn't be.
So
that
if we did tours in
stretch for
September,
us.
we could shoot, give
Yeah.
everyone, I could see if that'll work with Alan, and we could really, the zoning probably around like the commercial highway frontage and the mill site.
Sure.
I think the residential is pretty set in stone. We all kind of know, but I think just to your point of, what are the uses in those areas, and what, are we able to attract industry in there, or is there an opportunity? Maybe we need to be thinking about rezoning some of that.
Well, the reason why I did this commission and the planning commission is because I know exactly the frustration a lot of citizens have. I mean, I have them too. And I see this stuff as, and I understand that in planning, you cannot plan anything that doesn't have the resources available to do the basic services. So everything that's currently being built was planned, and probably original plan hit 2020, something like that. And the resources were available then, and they are technically available now. You think we're going to run out of them? We're not. We can't plan beyond our capabilities. And that's just the way that goes. And everything you think, well, we're going to stretch our thing. Well, why do you think you're putting $58 million into a new sewer plant, or another $12 million into your water processing plant, which is gone? And then after that, another $8 million on top of that over the next 20 years to keep that thing up to. We've already talked about things like, how do we keep enough water flowing so we can process the water that the city needs. And, little things like, we're losing 38% of our water just in leakage out throughout our system, and I said, we need to address that, and they're aware of it. All this stuff is out there, and we understand it. It's not an easy thing to do Because in urban growth boundaries, you're right, you know, if we have the capability, we're legally obligated to do it. If they check all the boxes, you know, we're legally obligated to do it. All we can do is manage that in some fashion, you know?
Well, the communities have mandates from the state that are coming down right now around housing.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
not only is it a developer seeing Estacada as an opportunity, you also have state mandates to communities to build out additional
Right.
residential housing.
Yeah, we fought back a little on, you're talking about putting duplexes and stuff like that. The state came down and wanted to put some language into our code that I was against about us giving them people that want to do duplexes, triplexes, cottage clusters, not having them being charged for things like SDCs that would pay for parks and stuff like that. They would be exempt from that if they built those types of homes in this community. And I said, oh no, we're not doing that, you know, and we voted against it, that particular legislation. But I think that came down from the state of
Yeah.
Oregon.
Each
Yeah.
community's dealt with them, so.
And I said, they've got to pay their way, you know, but you know, things like that
For a joint
happen.
meeting.
So
Hello?
maybe one more thing to mention. John and I had a wide-ranging conversation about possibilities. And one of the things that we talked about was we have food carts in town
Mhm,
and they're spread all over the place.
Sure.
And if you've ever sat at one of those food carts on a windy day, you've probably seen the umbrella tumble. And, you know, you've probably seen the dust from the road blow onto your food and so on. So I wonder what the owners of those food carts might like. Are they happy with the situation right now? Would they like to see something else? What would the community like to see? Would it be possible to showcase our community by creating more of a centralized place for the food carts where, just for example, Souder Timber built a beautiful big wing that would cover the carts and allow us to get in from the rain. And Eric did some metal work
Sure.
on it, and we can actually showcase, here's what we can do in this magnificent town. Come and enjoy our food carts. And wouldn't that also draw more entrepreneurs to plug a cart in? Because all of a sudden, there's space, here's a central opportunity for people to gather. Is this low-hanging fruit something that we could actually take action on and produce as a community? And for me, as a relative newcomer, my model in Estacada is the library. The library is a magnificent, beautiful building, and everybody should be proud of that space. And if we can produce a space like that, there is so much more that we can do.
Sure.
I love that.
Well,
But I think for me, step one would be, well, let's talk to the people who are currently vending food and see, what do you guys think? What are your needs?
yeah, the business model doesn't really work well right now for Estacada because basically our dollars are running out the door. So
Is this a way to bring them, to bring more
Yeah.
dollars in though? If we have a place that attracts people's attention.
I love
from
the
road.
idea. I love the idea, Jeff. I love the idea. I look at what Wood Village did.
Yeah.
And what Troutdale did.
Yeah.
And what Gresham did.
Oregon
All
City.
Oregon City did.
Yeah.
All those guys, you know, did a really nice job of it, you know, where they had like a central cafeteria, you know, and then everybody's just built out around it where you
Yeah.
can just go in and have your meal and a beverage, and that would be fantastic. But does the business model hold up for the people that are trying to run their business, you know? Yeah, I don't know how well it does in those towns where they have population base, and we just don't have the population base that does that at this time. I might be wrong about that one, but I'm not thinking I am at this point in time. If we build it, we can't build it and say, will they come? You know, we have to have a clear population base that wants that sort of thing. Now, if I saw our population base overwhelming those businesses as they stand now, I would think we'd have a greater sense of that one. I'm not saying no to it. What I am saying is that we have to be cautious about how we're spending our dollars early in. Do we
Agreed.
plan for that space? Absolutely. And do we plan to have all those businesses be a part of that? Absolutely. But, you know, I think we've got some problems ahead of us before we get to that point. That's just my thought on it, you know. I'd love to do it. Anything that just, you know, anything that gives us a bit more of that Estacada feel, fantastic. Have all those companies, all those timbers companies doing this stuff and showcasing what they can do. Fantastic. I think they have amazing capabilities. But it's a difficult thought, you know, and a hard decision to make, you know. And does the city want to, I don't know what it costs to put a building like that up. You know, it's going to be $1 million, maybe more.
I think it's a, you know, I've tried to get someone from the food carts to apply to be on the EDC because it's the voice that we're, you know, we should
Sure.
listen to if we're going to grow restaurants into brick and mortar. It's a great opportunity to grow from that standpoint. So I think like definitely polling them, I think would be really helpful for us to have that information.
Yeah.
I think once we poll, you know, and understand what they need and where they would go, I think the vision of, you know, creating a spot like that would be really helpful to be able to grow. And what,
Yeah.
you know, and sometimes what happens is, you know, maybe that space, that rent space, there's a, you know, if we're gonna want to grow an Asian food truck, or we're gonna want to grow another Mexican one, or maybe it's this, you know, a German bakery or something, you know, I'm just throwing that space rent is an area where, you know, there's subsidized rent to be able to get everyone in a central food pod location. I think, you know, so I think it's definitely an area that if we want to have more restaurants, which we do, we know we're losing that on the retail study. So it's an opportunity to, you know, really we could poll them. We could come back with some questions and be like, okay, here's what I would like to see if we're in a combined area. You know, I think having that timber feel like when you walk into the library, having some kind of pavilion covered like that, where you could be out of the elements, and maybe some fire pits that were, you know, Northwest Technologies created some steel, you know, so when you're coming down after getting your Christmas tree, you can stop in here, right? And it's, you know, thinking about those options, I think is something we have to really explore as a city, you know, and I'm happy to reach out to the food cart people and, you know, continue to pursue that. So.
Well, we need to have a greater, broader discussion about it. And, you know, things about the business at the Christmas tree industry in our area, it's over $1 billion a year that pumps out of this area. We're the second largest in the nation. And I keep going, you know, and I don't know how you integrate that, other than the fact that most of it goes away from here, goes to places like Texas and Los Angeles and all over the country. You know, they grow the trees here and ship them there, you know, so how do we integrate that?
Love the idea of doing outreach. to the
All
food
right, we'll
carts.
do some outreach.
I think that's
Okay.
a really
Outreach,
good
yeah.
idea. You know,
I've gotta
one thing
start-
on food
yeah.
carts that just came to mind
Yep.
is taking the food carts to where the higher concentration of people are. So we just started a program at the county. So they have 2 food trucks that come up once a week. And will rotate out. And so maybe that's another way to connect our friends in the industrial park. Is to set up some type of system like that, where if they are a mobile food truck, maybe we have a rotation of those having a presence in the industrial park. I don't know.
Yeah,
Just a thought.
I'm really big on success in business. You know, it's like when you bring a project to me, I want it to know how we're moving forward. When Ryan brought the school thing, he had a plan, you know, and that he executed that plan flawlessly, you know, and it was a success, you know, and this, I don't see those businesses being that successful here because they just come and go like the wind, you know?
Okay,
Yeah, it's a tough model for me right now, you know, and
sure.
Well, and I think.
I want to make it a better model for them if I can find a way to do it, you know? Find a way forward.
There you go.
Okay,
David, are you good?
are we good? Anything else, David?
Yeah.
You got Any final
I mean,
comments?
the only comment to add is that if you look at places like, you know, Trapdale and Happy Valley, and I was in Gresham last night for their Music Monday, and there's something about those places where the gathering place is in the center of the town, whereas our gathering place is a great place, but it's at the library and it's like deep within the town. So there's no real gathering place within the center of Estacada. And so that lends itself well to what you just talked about possibly getting Eric's business and Sodder Timber to create a gathering space, which is central to Estacada, doesn't have that kind of best kept secret feel to it. So that was the only thing I wanted to add.
Well, there's an aspect of it I hadn't quite thought about, so that's a possibility too. That would be not only just, carts, but just a gathering spot. Cause I was in Gresham when they had their our farmers market, but they also had an arts in the city. That particular thing took up 6 solid blocks of downtown Gresham. That thing was wall to wall people.
Yeah, and there's a feeling that a community is actually coming together and bringing in outsiders, which doesn't tend to happen in Estacada. Anyway.
So super briefly, I slid over to Scott a 1-pager from the tourism folks at the state. They've got a funding opportunity and a letter, October 1st, a letter of interest would be due. But it's possible that this idea would fit within the realm of that, and they would provide technical support for 9 months. And then if they liked the project, up to $100,000 to support it. So we could think about whether we have enough information by the next time we meet next month to talk about at least writing a letter to those folks for this. And I'd be happy to be the one to write that letter if we decide the answer is yes.
Well, thanks for bringing it up.
It's kind of a burden on John, though, to do some of that survey work. Or John, the guy who does all the work. Thank you, John.
You're welcome. No, I like it.
Every little bit helps, so Jeff, every little bit helps. I mean, $100,000 is huge,
Well, and
Well,
all the
hot
press
dogs.
around it and the energy and
and the more inroads we get with these people, and then they can look at other projects coming down the line that if they come up with some other program, they'd be looking at us because they know we're really interested in trying to do that. I'm all big on open spaces, and the river is a natural draw to me, I'd love that whole thing to just be a huge park over there, kind of like the Bend model, a little bit like the Bend model where,
That's cool.
I know that thing was packed with kayaks when it rather hit 90 degrees out here. That thing was just packed with kayaks and stuff.
absolutely.
People going on MacGyver Park, and they said MacGyver parking lot was just full. People doing, and so this side of the river was too.
I think MacGyver is the #1 draw for Portlanders.
Oh, I get it. It's just close.
Yeah.
But we need to translate that business from MacGyver to us, where it's not an easy jump to come to Estacada to do much of anything. And to draw those dollars in, and you're right, we've got to think of outside the box ideas, and I'm not discounting anything. When I see a business model that works, I
Yeah.
recognize it immediately.
No, I hear you.
Yeah.
I don't have any idea how many of the food cart folks have been in business for more than 6 months or a year, and what their challenges are and how they're doing. So this would be,
You need something with high visibility, kind of serves the community and those people traveling through at the same time. So it's kind of an interesting mix.
Yeah.
Okay,
Good.
I think we're done here. Anybody else have anything else they want to? You go get David, you need anything or?
No,
Anything?
good.
All right, well, let's get on with it.
Thank you.
Have a good evening. Good
Thank you.
afternoon.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.